Bet on Bears fans, another edition of the Chicago Bears podcast coming your way. Pat, the designer, back at it again. Don't know why I still have my headphones on. Appreciate y'all for tuning in and showing love to another edition. As always, the most physical practice we have seen under this Bears organization in multiple decades. I would say maybe just one decade, close to 2 decades. We got to talk about that. Also taking a look at the depth chart that has been released. All that and more on today's episode of the Chicago Bears podcast. Hit that like button, subscribe to the page, leave a 5-star review. Y'all know what to do. We do want to let you guys know today's episode is brought to you by the Advantage Dealer Group. Find your next Chevy, Toyota, or Acura and drive off in under 60 minutes or they'll make your first car payment. Also brought to you by the Hard Rock Casino in Northern Indiana. Las Vegas style gaming, just 30 minutes from Soldier Field, exit 6, right off of I-80 94. All right, ladies and gentlemen, this was a day where, if you can call the Bear Claw anything, the Bear Claw was showing today. A practice that was unexpected, a practice that you expect to see a team go out there and be physical, especially from what we've learned from Ben Johnson, right? This is not new to who Ben Johnson is, and it seems like this is how he's going to run his practices. So it's not like I wasn't expecting practice to be physical, but this was the most physical practice the Chicago Bears have had. And we asked multiple people around the beat room who have covered this team for multiple coaches that the Chicago Bears have had since Lovie Smith was in the building. And I swear the mayor, Larry Mayer, shout out to him, talked about this as one of the most physical practices he's seen since Wani was in the building. This is a practice where Ben Johnson set the tone early per Nation, right? We got a chance to talk to him, and Tyreek Stevenson said he walked into the room and said, the offense is going to be coming at you today. You better be prepared. He is trying to find the best guys to go out there and win these jobs. He's trying to find the best players to go out there that are going to go out there and want to dominate on a play in and play out basis. And ladies and gentlemen, today was one of those practices where you weren't expecting it to turn into this, but it turned into a bunch of tackling to the ground, a bunch of aggression, a bunch of chippiness, a bunch of it seemed like they're definitely sick of hitting each other, and the fact that the Miami Dolphins are coming here Friday, you better be just as enthusiastic to go out there versus the Miami Dolphins. But you saw a practice where both sides, like I said earlier on the show, or on the podcast on a previous episode, where a true iron sharpens iron moment in how this team went about it. And Ben Johnson wanted it to be that way. It's how he wanted to orchestrate this team to go out there and compete. And I love that because listen, you play football by learning football. And Deshaun Wright, when he talked about this period, he said we were only supposed to have one live period at the beginning of practice. But sometimes when you turn that on, you can't turn that back off. And once it was on for this practice. There were 4 fights in total throughout this practice. The first one was Brisker and T. Scott going at it. Then you had Rome and Kyler getting into it, and Rome's helmet ends up getting pulled off. You had another one where Braxton and Austin Booker end up getting into it. And I'm not going to lie to you, it's the most aggressive I've seen Braxton Jones look ever. Maybe that's why, when we talk about the unofficial depth chart here that has been released, maybe that's why Braxton Jones is at the top of this thing, because Ben Johnson was like, that aggression right there, you keep that, because Braxton was upset. It may be the most upset I've ever seen him in a Bears jersey. And it was taking multiple people to try and hold him back as he was trying to get back to Austin Booker. And the thing about it was from both sides showing the chippiness, offense talking garbage, defense talking garbage right back. And after every single one of them, it was boom, bet it up, back to business. We're getting back to work. A couple of them went a little longer, right? And I'm not going to say a fight. This is more kerfuffle. Maybe a little brouhaha. I like how Adam Hogue said that one, a little brouhaha. Maybe even a hootenanny, if you will. These were not, punches thrown and things like that. Roschon Johnson ended up getting into one. I don't know if I brought up the Roschon one, but Roschon and why am I blanking on who he ended up? Roschon ended up getting into one of the DBs. I had it in my notes, and for some reason I'm not seeing it right now. But Roschon ends up getting into it at the end there. And they're going at it as well. Like, there's a ton of these that you looked at and you said, okay, the offense is starting to show a little bit of understanding. And I think here's the thing. If it's just fights and that's all this is, the chippiness, the tackling to the ground, you go, well, that's not a very ruly practice. But I think what you saw as well was you saw the offensive line moving people. That's why the defensive line was upset. Good handoff to Swift. He breaks it over the middle. I thought a really solid run by DeAndre Swift where he bounced it back outside in a situational period, right? There was also the some nice passes from Caleb Williams over to Rome Odunze. Probably the best ball of the day was Caleb Williams' deep pass to Rome Odunze down the left sideline, kind of put it back shoulder. Rome able to turn around and get it a little bit low. Nashawn Wright was in coverage. He said that Caleb threw a good ball. Rome caught the ball and was a great catch, but he thought he could have played that coverage a little bit better. That was probably Caleb's best ball today. Yet again, another deep ball pass to Caleb Williams, able to complete for a touchdown there. Like seeing how the offense was, hey, we're coming at you, we're going at you, and we understand this playbook and we understand kind of what we're figuring out. I think that's the part with the install process a lot of people do get confused with. You're going through and you're putting in the plays, and this was the final day of install. You're going through and you're putting in the plays that the team feels comfortable with, and then once all the install is over, then you start to put the playbook together and say, this is what we're good at. This is what we're bad at. Today felt like an install day that the Bears were very comfortable with. I could see the Bears using a lot of these plays in the playbook as we're going to see some of these training camp games and things like that pop up here. Just trying to figure out where Caleb is comfortable, trying to figure out where DJ is comfortable, where Rome is comfortable, right? There's some of those things that you start to see. And I thought that we were seeing that grow as well today. I thought a great goal line period for the Chicago Bears. Did they turning around, handing that football off to Roschon Johnson and him just going through and punching the defense in the mouth and being able to end up in the end zone there? Like those are the things that you want to continue to see. Stuff that actually is going to translate from training camp into the real game. Those are the things that we're seeing from the offense. But it wasn't just the offense destroying the defense. The defense, I thought, had some really good periods as well. And the one thing that the defense continued to do, and versus the first team offense, you would like to see this cleaned up a little bit. The pre-snap penalties are things that we continue to talk about. That did show its head again here. And I think if there's anything that Ben Johnson is going to talk about the team with after the offense, I should say with after, it's going to be, hey, you have to get your head and keep your head in the game after these moments happen, after these chippy moments happen, because if you don't, you're going to have what happened today where we saw a false start by 88 and 85, I thought, on the same play there, which looked like a 3 tight end, 1 running back, 1 wide receiver set. You have to be better than that. The defense got them to jump off sides. They were excited about that. I thought that you had on that same drive, a false start from Ryan Bates. You got to be better than that. And it seemed like it was kind of getting the team to jump, like one of those moves from Andrew Billings that gets the team to jump, right? Like there's so many of those things where they just didn't get their mind back in quick enough. Didn't mean they didn't go out there and make a play after that. But that first play back, right, it was kind of like the team was so amped up that now they're starting to get those juices going, and somebody goes set hut and it's not your guy, or goes move and it's not your guy, and you jump a little bit, right? Like that's something that you do got to get cleaned up on to begin that one, right? There was a nice handoff to Swift up the middle, that sequence there on 11-11. Nice handoff up the middle to Swift. I thought he gained about 5 or 6 yards there, and then immediately a false start from Darnell Wright. Those are the things that you have to continue to clean up. The pre-snap penalties are things that have plagued this team for years here. They're some of the biggest things, but the one thing that I do like is the fact that Ben Johnson, he's on these guys every single time. He's on this team. He's telling him, you can't have these moments. He's calling it out right then and there. He's throwing guys out of the drill. I think Joel Wilson was somebody who ended up getting thrown out of the drill, because he went early. And he was like, nope, we're going to bring somebody else in. Like, you're seeing the coaching staff go out there and correct it on the spot. And if you can't do it, we'll find somebody who will. I think, to me, that's really why you're starting to see this depth chart play out the way that it is. But overall, I thought this is one of the best practices that we've seen from the Chicago Bears team in a situational period where it seemed like the offense kind of was going to get itself going. It was one where the defense won out. Talking about the defense winning a day. You had a nice handoff to Swift. He bounced it back to the outside, got the first down. Defense called a timeout on that one. They were going through the offense is up 21-20, and then a timeout's going to be called there. Then they handed off to Swift. Swift got a gain of about 3. They hit the 2-minute warning. Okay, offense is moving in the right direction. Problem there. Right after that, unsportsmanlike conduct penalty, which I've never seen in training camp, on DeAndre Swift. You move that back to a 3rd and 17 because now the defense has gotten into his head in that pile, and they're sitting there jawing back and forth. You had a pass to DJ after that I thought should have been a clear pass interference play. But then, they don't throw the flag. Now you're punting. Those are the moments, those are the teaching moments that I think Ben Johnson is going to look at on the offense and say, hey, this can't happen. We have to be better here. But also, and again, I keep saying this, for both sides of the ball out here are on our team. Both sides of the ball out here are Chicago Bears. For the defense, that's a big moment. You're going to play some teams this year where you may be able to get the quarterback off his game. Jordan Addison not going to be there. It doesn't seem like J.J. McCarthy is going to have Justin Jefferson either, right? Like, those are 2 big pieces. Can you get him out of his game early on in this game? Can you control the run game? Like, the defense doing things like that, I think with some of the quarterbacks you're going to see on the roster this year, that will help you pick up some of those games that you feel like should be gimme games. You got the Giants, you've got the Raiders a little bit more vet savvy, and he's got Pete Carroll there, so Gino kind of knows what's going on there. But like, you got young pieces on that offensive line over there. Can you get some of them to jump in those moments? Those are the things that I do like that we're seeing from the Bears defense. Not a great moment for the offense, but I thought a really good moment for the Bears defense there. Let me know how you guys feel in the comments below. Again, I mean, this was. I talked to just about everybody in the room that had been there for a while. Stacey Dale said she had never seen a practice like this. We had Courtney Cronin, who's on this podcast, who says she's covered the NFL for 10 years here. She's never seen a practice like this. Nashawn Wright's been on multiple teams. He said he's never seen a practice like this. This was not a normal practice. This was Ben Johnson trying to get these guys prepared for football. And unfortunately, right, you got to talk about the fact that Cole Kmet ends up getting banged up in this game. We don't know what that's going to be in the long run. That could be something of concern, but that's the cost of playing football. You want to teach this team how to play? Go out there and hit somebody. Go out there and get your body callous. Go out there and figure it out. I don't need a 1985 training camp, and this isn't what the Chicago Bears are doing, play in and play out. We've had easy days. We've had days where it seems like it's pretty cool, right? The first day in pads, first couple of days in pads, it wasn't crazy. When you start to see the pads popping, though, you want to see those pads popping, and Ben Johnson does, and he's not saying take the foot off of the gas. He's saying put that thing to the floor and go out there and hit somebody. We saw that Joel Wilson ended up getting laid out by Major Wright to finish practice, last play of practice. Like, there's all of these moments that you look back at this practice and you say, that might be a little much. That might be a little tough. But I'm not worried about the first 3 weeks of the season, the Chicago Bears not being ready to go out there and play football and being used to getting hit. I'm not worried about it in preseason here as we're going to get this thing running. I mean, like, we've got the Miami Dolphins coming here on Friday for the joint practice, and on Thursday for the joint practice here, and the Bears are going to be prepared. They're not going to be sitting here going, we haven't had somebody hit us like that. No, yes, you have. We haven't had somebody moving that fast. No, you have, because they're playing for real football out here. It's the first time that we saw somebody do that. No, it's not. Because Dennis Allen is sending it. Caleb Williams is coming on the other side as well. Like, there's a ton that I think you can take from having these live periods like this. Now, this was playing football the entire day. This was essentially a live game that we were watching. It's the most fun I've had at a practice ever. Like, this was a live game that we were watching. And I don't want you to go out there and kill each other, right? You want to keep guys healthy. I don't want to see Cole Kmet, walking off the field, where he walked off under his own power, but he did go to a trainer after. And, it seemed like he was dealing with something. When we saw him walk off, he didn't have contact. So hopefully it's not a non-contact injury or something there. We don't know what that is as of yet, and they haven't released the injury report. We'll probably find that out the closer we get to the game here. But right now, I mean, as it stands, you've got your starting roster of Caleb Williams, DeAndre Swift, starting depth chart, I should say, of Caleb Williams, DeAndre Swift, Roma Dunze, DJ Moore, Colston Loveland, Cole Kmet, Darnell Wright, Jonah Jackson, Drew Dahlman, Joe Tooney, Braxton Jones. We'll come back and talk about that here in a second. Montez Sweat is on the defensive side on the line. Grady Jarrett, Javon Dexter, Andrew Billings, Dio Adangbo, TJ Edwards, Tremaine Edmonds, Jaquan Brisker, Kevin Byard, Kyler Gordon, Tyree Stevenson. Jalen Johnson does have the number one spot right now, but he's on NFI, so I would assume Nashawn Wright is going to be the person who gets that spot as they've had that competition. And then special teams wise, Cairo Santos, Torrey Taylor, Cairo on kickoff as well, Torrey on holding, Scott Daly long snapper, and Duvernay winning both kick return and the punt return job. A little surprised by that. I thought Olamide Zaccheaus might get in there, but he's also your third wide receiver right now, well over Luther Burden. Now, this is all still very unofficial, but let's start off with the left tackle conversation on this. Hit that like button if you have not done so. Subscribe to the page. Leave a 5-star review. Y'all know what to do. We are going to be covering this team from the beginning to the end. Y'all already know how we do here on the Chicago Bears podcast, and we're going to have a lot of fun here while doing it this season, especially if Ben Johnson keeps this up. But looking at that left tackle competition right now, Braxton Jones, Ozzie Trapillo, Joshua Miles coming in as the third. Karan dealing with something here that's going to hold him out for a little while. But Braxton right now winning that starting left tackle spot. And I'm very intrigued by this because it has felt like Ozzie, to me, has had the better camp. Now, maybe Ben saw something today, right? When I said he ended up seeing red and you're going after, Austin Booker on the other side. And he was like, that's the guy I need out there. Braxton Jones winning this job did surprise, at least for right now. This is the beginning of preseason. It did surprise me a little bit. But what I will say is this. It's a lot easier to try Braxton out, see what he looks like with the first team offense. And I've told you, Braxton's going to look better with Joe Tooney standing next to him. But seeing what he looks like with the first team offense, and if you don't like it, it's very easy to go to Ozzie Trapillo at some point. Now, when I look at these guys, if Braxton wins out the job outright, that's fine with me. I think you want to create some value there. I think you want to see Braxton on the field. You want to see Braxton in those big moments, but you want to start to build Ozzie up as well, because unless you're going to pay Braxton, Ozzie feels like he's going to be the left tackle of the future. I like that right now, though, you're going with the veteran guy in this place because, like I said, you always can dial back Braxton and tell him, yeah, dog, this ain't it. This isn't what we're going to see right now, and put Ozzie out there. There also could be a conversation to be had with that left tackle position that you want to see Ozzie play more on the field, and you just don't do that with the number ones, right? If he's out there with Luke Newman, Doug Kramer, Ryan Bates, Karan Amagaji, who is coming in at that right tackle spot right now on the second lineup, which I don't know if I peeped that before. Right tackle spot on that second lineup, and then Durham Schmeidt, Stephen Carlson, Devin Duvernay. They're going to be protecting Tyson Bagent, Roshan Johnson, Olamide Zaccheaus coming in on that wide receiver room right there. But you're going to have more reps with that second unit in this first game here. We know that. I would assume, and Ben Johnson didn't say, but I would assume you probably end up seeing, maybe 2 series of Caleb Williams in the first game. We got to look at this differently. This is the Hall of Fame game where, 2 years ago, you basically played nobody, and it was because it was a meaningless game in a monsoon. But I do think that there is something to be said about, hey, this kid needs as many reps as possible. Braxton's got the veteran reps already. He's got 40 starts under his belt. Let's get Ozzie out there as much as possible. And let's get Karan out there as much as possible, as it shows right here. Now, again, we didn't see Karan much today because he's dealing with something. I do wonder if Theo Benedict now gets that spot because he's coming in as the third string right tackle on this team. Or maybe you throw Bill Murray in there, who's coming in as the third string left guard on this team. But very excited to see kind of, what this whole unit is going to look like coming together here. I think another thing that's very interesting is the Olamide Zaccheaus getting that third spot on the wide receiver chart right now ahead of Luther Burden. Remember, I talked about this on yesterday's episode of the Windy City Breeze. If you didn't tap into that as well. But Ben Johnson doesn't do anything unintentional. And when he spoke on who he trusted on this team, he immediately goes DJ, Rome, Cole. Says he doesn't trust any of the rookies just yet. And then he says, OZ is also somebody who you can throw on that list of people I trust. And I felt very intentional to me because for his two biggest playmakers that he drafted, he's letting them know, I don't trust you yet. I trust Cole Kmet. I trust Olamide Zaccheaus to go out there and make plays. And OZ has balled out in this preseason. Now, am I going to sit here and tell you that Luther Burden doesn't have more upside, doesn't have more skill, doesn't have more? I do think that he does. And I think he's shown that on the field when we've seen him get an opportunity to be out there. But right now, a guy who Caleb Williams has relied on a ton, who he's gone to a ton. And I'll be honest with you, I think we did see Luther Burden more with the twos today than anything. Like, there's a ton of trust in Olamide Zaccheaus. And it's not just lip service. Looking at the depth chart, excuse me. Looking at the depth chart, there's a ton of trust right now in Olamide Zaccheaus. And I told y'all, Ben Johnson ain't just giving jobs away. Just because I drafted you don't mean that you go out there and win this job. Just because I drafted you doesn't mean that you're going to be one of the starters on this team. Doesn't mean you won't get used, but you may not get nearly as many snaps as a guy like OZ. You got to go out there and beat him for the job. And OZ has had a heck of a camp. He's been somebody that Caleb Williams has been able to trust, not only just in the slot, but also on the deep ball. Burden's got to build that up. And even today, when you talk about no block, no rock, there was a point in practice today where Luther Burden, I believe it was Luther Burden that Ben Johnson was yelling at here. And he said, Luther, that's you. You got to get your hat in there. No block, no rock. So there's a lot still in trust. And I wouldn't say development wise. I think that Luther has the talent, but you got has the talent, but you got to have that trust in the head coach. And the head coach has to have that trust in you. And right now, I don't think that's a two-way street as we're sitting here. And I think the depth chart speaks to that. Now, again, is Luther Burden going to go out there and torch the threes when he gets on the field and be able to ball out? 100% he is. He's got all the talent in the world, but there is a little bit of a give and take here. And Luther not being there, I think, at the beginning of camp has hindered him a little bit to this point as far as his trust with Ben Johnson, or Ben Johnson's trust in him. We'll see how this all plays out. Hit that like button, subscribe to the page, leave a 5-star review. Y'all know what to do. One name that I do think is going to be very interesting on this roster, and as it sits right now, remember, there's Ben Johnson said he has a lot of trust in Kyle Monangai. How this depth chart is playing out: DeAndre Swift 1, Roshan Johnson 2, Travis Homer 3. You got a guy like Kyle Monangai, Ian Wheeler, Deion Hankins coming in with the threes right now. Very similar on this wide receiver room. Tyler Scott, he's coming in with the threes right now, or coming in with the fours right now in theory. Samari Toure, JP Richardson, who y'all know I love me some JP. He don't drop the ball. He don't drop the ball. That's all I'm going to say. JP don't drop the ball. He goes out there and he makes plays. But to be a wide receiver on this team, you probably got to do a little bit more than that, because there's a lot of playmakers that this team has here. I'm very excited to see, what those guys are going to look like. I love this first game for that. You're going to have at some point in this game Case Keenum, who's coming in with the threes. Remember, we had a conversation. Now, this is all unofficial, but we did have a conversation about, okay, who's the backup quarterback here? Is it going to be Case? Is it going to be Tyson Bagent? Now, you may end up getting a little Austin Reed in this game, but I think this is going to probably be Case Keenum getting this third string start right here. But I want to see what Kyle Monangai looks like. I want to see what Ian Wheeler looks like in a bounce back season here. JP Richardson's a guy I really want to take a close look at. Don't clip that up, Eo. That sounded bad. I've talked about JP a lot. I really want to see, does he, because he's just going to go out there and make plays and ball out. That's the kind of game that he has. Who ends up climbing this depth chart is going to be very interesting to see right now as well. When you look at this defensive line room, I mean, you got Javon, you got Billings, you got Dio. Pickens still on this list right now. Jonathan Ford, Dominique Robinson, and Chris Williams and Grady Jarrett, of course. Two names that did surprise me here, though. On your edges, as your backup edges. Dominique Robinson and Austin Booker getting the shot as that opposite edge. Now, it's not a surprise to me that Austin Booker is still in the running for that. But remember, Dennis Allen said, I'm not a big fan of my defensive ends being 240. He's all of 240. He might only be 240 if he runs around in the shower. Can he go out there and show Dennis Allen, though, that, hey, look, I got the speed to get around this edge? Because what he did say was, I value power over pounds. This was his time to shine last year in preseason, right? We saw him using that speed to get to the outside and get to the quarterback. We saw him using that speed to get to the running back and be able to chase that guy down, right? Like, he's got a lot of skill set here. I was a big Austin Booker guy last season. I really want to see if he can go out there and prove to Dennis Allen, hey, no, I'm the right guy for this job. I need to be in the mix as far as that opposite edge possibly, or I need to be in the mix as far as one of these guys who's constantly getting in the game, because I have that level of talent. I mean, if you told me right now who I thought was going to be, kind of coming in on both sides here, I would assume you've got Montez. I would assume Dio. And I would feel like you're probably going to be dealing with Dominique Robinson coming in for both of those guys as backups. Now, not to say Austin can't get in, but I would say you see Dom Rob on the field more. I want to see Austin Booker break into that mix. That's what I want to be see from this young man, because he's fighting an uphill battle, and I don't think he's done a bad job proving himself a lot here as he continues to get in this mix. But we'll see what ends up happening. Hit that like button, subscribe to the page, leave a 5-star review. Y'all know what to do. One thing that we do want to get to before this is over, we had both of them at the podium today, Tyreke Stevenson and Nahshon Wright. Both got an opportunity to talk. Nahshon Wright talked about the competition at that second DB spot. Tyreke did as well. And both of them seem like they're in a dogfight here. If I told you write my unofficial opinion, I would say that where the depth chart is at does tell you something, that Tyreke maybe is leading this a little bit. But my big thing with Reek right now is I feel like Tyreke has continued to be who he is, and I don't know if that's enough for a coaching staff that's coming in with their own guy who's also proving that he can go out there and make plays. Now, I still think Tyreke is fine. I think he's phenomenal. I think he's a solid number 2 DB, or cornerback, I should say. I think he's a solid number 2 cornerback. Somebody that you want out there, if Jordan Addison, who you want to have to deal with now because of the suspension, if Jordan Addison is out there, I want Tyreke Stevenson on him, right? Like, he's got that kind of skill set. And I think now that he's on an island, like he said today, I think he's got that kind of game. But if you've got Tyreke Stevenson and you've got Nahshon Wright, and we know that there's already an affinity for Nahshon Wright, and Tyreek's trying to prove himself, which I'm not saying that he hasn't done, I would think that they're probably going to end up going with their guy. Now, my hope is that Tyreke proves it all wrong, that he goes out there, because I think in this Dennis Allen style defense, his aggression is perfect. I think now they're calling a defense that fits who he is. He's not a play back and wait and see. He is get in your face, knock him off the line, be aggressive, go up top with him. Like, all of those, that is who Tyreke is, and I think Tyreke can flourish in this defense. But can you do more than the guy that is their guy that's coming in? And we'll see how that plays out. That's going to be a big competition, especially now with Jalen Johnson. Now, you're going to get an opportunity to look at both of them, because Nahshon Wright, I would assume, is sliding in here to that second DB spot right now, or maybe the first DB spot right now with Tyreke Stevenson in this week 1 game. And it depends on how many reps they end up going out there and getting in the long run, but we'll see with all of that. Let me know how you guys feel in the comments below. I'll be down there talking with you guys as well. Hit that like button, subscribe to the page, leave a 5-star review. Y'all know what to do. As always, man, it's your boy Pat the Designer, back at it again. We'll be back tomorrow with more Chicago Bears content. And of course, y'all know we got y'all covered here with everything on ESPN Chicago, with Bears content for the game, for interviews, all of that. I think Ryan Poles was on today. There's a ton. We've had Caleb Williams on there, man. There's a ton going on at the network, man. So stay tapped in with us. As always, man, y'all stay safe with the Chicago Bear down. One love. Peace.